the sample will be written for. Sorry. So this sample is going to be written for the Windows operating system. I don't know that I necessarily have to explain why, but the reason being, like, basically most malware is for Windows since it's the most popular operating system. So it's also the most interesting one to learn about. Eventually, maybe I'll port something over to Linux. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool someday. But at the moment, we're doing Windows only. Let's see. Right. I just had like a hard as hell workout, so my brain is frazzled as all hell right now. But today we're going to be working on registry stuff, and there's a couple of reasons why. Let's see, I'm trying to open up Commander. And documents, RE stuff. You're not missing anything interesting, don't worry. Alright, we're gonna open up code. I'm not gonna bother with the NeoVim right now because I need to work on my configs with NeoVim. Let's turn this music down. That's an issue. There we go. So, let me switch over to our screen. So if you watched the last video that I put up about process scanning, and process enumeration is probably a better term for it. You'll know that we were able to work on some simple process enumeration stuff. We were able to enumerate all of the processes running on a system using Rust, and that was cool. I cribbed off of Memo, which is made by a game hacker because they make all of the best malware related stuff. Let's see if I can find it. Memo. There it is, by Lonami. Memo's rad. I'm gonna post the link again in chat because it's worth looking at. So there it is in Twitch. Here it is in YouTube. Check it out. Give props to Lonami because he's a game hacker that writes some awesome software. So basically what our malware has now is it does not yet have process enumeration. I wrote process enumeration into its own thing. We're going to spend a second porting that thing over into our main malware. But for right now, we're going to count that as done in our little Excala draw. So we've got process enumeration. So I'm going to spend a second porting that over tonight. Let's see what else we've got. So this is our actual malware itself. Not much. We've got some basic network comms. So we've got a generic send message function. We need to port that over to JSON, but we do have a generic send message function. So let's see. An incredibly basic message sending function. Let's see what else we've got. So we can send a ping. Let's see, c2id.town/hello world. So we're just sending that via HTTP, I believe. Yeah, so that's through request. So we're sending basic requests through HTTP. Via HTTP. Really, if we don't have much. In terms of a Windows API, we don't have much interesting. We're going to work on that a little bit today. Let's go ahead and end that. So today we're going to work on registry stuff, specifically gathering useful info from a registry, sending said info to the C2. We're going to do that tonight for sure. It may not be in the format that I want, but we are going to send it to the C2. So let's go ahead and box that as we can. This is going to kind of be our like whiteboard sort of like pseudo planning doc. And that'll be tonight. Now, after that, we've got lots of things that I want to do. So after that, establish persistence. Sorry if you can hear my dogs eating loud as hell in the background. They are starving for some reason. That's just the way it is. Not much I can do there. Let's see. Let me pop this window out, and I'm going to throw this stuff over to my other monitor so you don't have to look at me looking at chat and all of that fun stuff. All right, so we want to establish persistence. Probably going to do that through the registry, honestly. Here, let's see what else we want to do. We want to send commands. Send commands. That's it. Receive commands. Send output. So we're going to send that back to the C2. That will be fun. Then it'll actually be like a pseudo rat kind of thing. So that's definitely what we want to do. But we're going to work on that later. Let's chill there and start working on stuff. So let's open up MSDN and let's do Registry Operations. Registry functions within 132 apps. So there's a couple of different things we want to do. Reg enum value, reg get value, reg open key. Definitely want that. And for right now, we don't want to worry about writes. Let's just worry about reads right now. So we need to open up a handle to a key, so I'm assuming that open key is what we want to do. Nope, it's not. We want reg open key x function, or it can be one of the following predefined keys. Handle to an open registry key. This handle is returned by reg create key or reg open key x, but this is reg open key x. Hello, Dad? That's weird. Okay. So the flow should be reg open key x. So let's open up a new spot for registry ops. The general flow should be reg open key x. Then it should be reg enum value enumerates the values for the specified open function, copies one index value name and data block for each time it's called. Okay, so we need key query value. So let's make sure that we write that down. With key query value, right? And then that should flow over to reg enum value, which will give us the value itself. And then that is going to be sent over to send message. Send to C2. Okay, so first we got to find a list of registry keys that we're actually interested in. So don't know if I want to open up my registry, so I'm going to pop open a VirtualBox here. The registry in Windows, if you're not familiar, is basically just a big database. I mean, I don't even know if it's basically, it is a big database full of basically values that are interesting or useful for your operating system. They can be used in a billion different ways. This holds all of the information from like the uptime of your PC, I believe, to your username, to security creds, to startup programs. That one's going to be super useful in the future because one common way for you to add persistence to your malware, where the hell did my screen go? Dad? Okay, apparently VirtualBox is going to do its VirtualBox thing. So we're going to power that off and reopen it. So it holds all kinds of useful information. The registry is a great place to start poking around at useful stuff that a malware operator might be interested in. As a defender, it's a very, very useful place to start looking for what malware is doing. So if a malware specifically is enumerating registry values, it's probably getting information about the system so that it can do things later on. If it's writing to the startup directories, then it's probably trying to establish persistence that way. I mean, there's a billion different things that, malware could be doing through the registry. So let's log in. Basically, the registry is where a lot of nefarious and not nefarious things can happen. Frankly, the registry is used by everything. So it's not like if you see something doing something in the registry, it's immediately, malicious. I literally will never want you to finish setting up my device. It's just never going to happen. Let's see if we can get full screen. It's not working. Wow. Wow. There we go. That's what we wanted. Okay, so let's open up Regedit, and I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about. If you are unfamiliar with what you're doing in the registry, don't poke around on it on like your own PC without like being incredibly careful. Only reason why I say that is if you screw something up within the registry, you can really screw up your system, like potentially not brick it, but like cause yourself some serious issues. So you don't really want to do that. All right. So here I'm literally just kind of looking around for interesting things. Thus far, so HKey local machine, or HKLM, is the most common place to start looking around for stuff. HKey current user, same thing. So if we look in HKey current user, let's see. Sometimes you'll get network information here. Doesn't look like we're finding anything. System, maybe you'll have something. No. There we go. So volatile environment. Apparently we can get some useful information there. So let's pop back over to Excalidraw and start kind of enumerating this stuff. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. Very dangerous opening up all of my browser screens here. So that was volatile environment. So HKCU/volatile environment might be useful. Come on, man. So let's see. HKCU/volatile environment. That's space. Volatile environment, and that holds app data. Yeah, I'm just gonna pop this real quick into side-by-side mode. Got domain names, looks like. Yeah, that's useful. Let's see, I'll just pop in here. domain names. We've got home path, that's useful. We've got app data, logon server. I mean, username, that's what we want. So we definitely want that. So let's start there. So basically the way you can kind of view the registry, so it's a database. Yeah, hostname's useful. So it is a database, but it can also kind of be accessed in a similar way to your file system. So the way you access all of this stuff is very similar to how you would access a file. So here, if I were trying to access username, I would do hkcu/volatile environment/username, and that's how I would access the value or that key that I'm trying to look at. So that's super useful to kind of understand. It's similar but different to like the database technologies that you might be familiar with. Yeah, services, groups, there's all kinds of stuff that you can find in registry. This is all from Romans 6 in Twitch chat if you're watching on YouTube and have no idea who I'm talking to. All right, so let's start there. So first we're going to open the key. Actually, first we're going to code in the value. So let's actually create a new folder for, this is going to be for regops. And this is going to have a mod.rs in it. Right. So let's throw our consts up at the top. So this is going to be for interesting registry keys. Const, let's just do username. str. Let's actually make this a string. It's equal to string from, says hkcu. I think it's / volatile environment / all caps username. So let's start there. So make sure I'm not forgetting any like funky syntax. Don't need any async functions, don't need to worry about that. Let's make this a pub function grab username. So shouldn't take any input, should return a string. Hopefully, that's the goal. Let's actually make this a result, which is going to be a string or a box. What was the syntax? So a box dyn standard error. So we're just going to copy this over. That's one thing I have not gotten used to in Rust is some of the weird syntax, because there's lots of it. Okay, so we're going to start with opening the key, and for that we're going to need some Windows API stuff. So let's look back at MSDN. These registry functions, so specifically OpenKeyX is in WinReg, WinAPI. So let's open up the Rust docs for the Windows API, and we are looking for reg open key. Let's just look for that. We want the ASCII version. Okay, so it is in user winreg reg open key xa. Use WinAPI winreg reg open key well, let's just for now reg open key, and we're just going to use A. We don't need the extended version really right now. Let's just make sure that we can successfully call that. So reg open key A. It's not giving us any help, so I'm assuming we're going to have some issues there. Let's try to compile it. We're going to have to call it first. And mod, we're using regops. And let's try to call it. Regops, grab username. So we're getting an error here. Oh. Let's do let mutable string ret equals string from, and we'll just give it an empty string for now. That's actually unc, and we're going to return ret. So that's just to kind of get all of the errors to shut up for a second. Let's pop over and try to compile. So let's cd to Rusty Wolf. That's weird. Let's see, dear, it's right there. Cd Rusty, progs wolf. There we go. All right, so let's try to run this and see what kind of errors we get. We do get errors, lots. Let's pop this open. Might actually be worth opening this terminal to the side. Cannot find in one API. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, that's why. Cannot find in one API. That's fun. That should work. Do I have to? So one of the issues might be I might have to import it within the main package. In fact, I'm almost certain that's what I've got to do. So if we look over here, we're using the request library. We're not actually importing request anywhere in this file, but we're not doing it here either. So let's try and cut this out of here. Man, I'm used to having my NeoVim keybinds. And let's try popping it in here. So I can't find in here either. That's fun. Huh. This is all stuff that works. If we open up our Rusty procs, we've got it here. Oh, you know what I bet it is? Yeah, that's what it is right there. I'm not importing the right features. So let's go to cargo toml. WinAPI version equals that. Features equals, it's going to be a long list of them. Close that out. Now if we open up our cargo toml from our procs, let's go ahead and assume we're going to need all of these at some point, and we'll plop them in here. Now we shouldn't have any problems. So it's not giving us any problems in there anymore. It's not giving us any problems here. But where did our import go? All right, let's see if that's going to give us problems again. Ooh. I don't know how I ended up with caps lock on. Failed to select a version for one API required by package Rusty Wolf. One API does not have these features. That's fun. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to... Oh, I'm using a newer version and Rusty procs and an older version here. There's part of our problem. So this is going to take a second. Yeah, that's going to take a sec. Not a big deal. Well, we're getting it all figured out. Dependency issues are easy because Rust is awesome. They've got an NPM-like package manager through Cargo, and that makes everything easy. Hi Twitch, how's everybody doing? Okay, so we've got errors, but it did compile. So grab username, that's an easy one to fix. That's giving us an error. Okay, cool. So we're getting helper hints now. So I think it's importing correctly at least. I think this is supposed to be UM now. There we go. Okay, fix that import. Our main should be good. Our reg open key now has an issue. All right, so I think we need an empty H key. I think H key should be here. That's interesting. We need the H key type. Let HK, let's call this mutable HK, H key. There we go, okay. So that automatically imported it. Is it going to let us, let's see, expected X. What? That's a weird hint. All right, so we're gonna pass HK now. Sub key, we don't need to worry about that. So here's the thing that I'm wondering. If we go back to the docs, open key XA. These are the docs. This is the docs for the essentially the function that I'm using. It might not be though. Let's just do, so let me explain this here in a sec. Key. So there's reg open key right there. So it takes in an H key. So here's the part that I'm confused about. Is this supposed to be an empty H key to an open registry key? This handle is returned by reg create key X, which we don't need to do, or reg open key X, or it can be one of the following predefined keys. So you've got to, I guess this is requiring you to open one of the root keys, which is fine because this is actually the one that we want to open. So H key current user. Current. I guess what that's doing is it's requiring you to open a predefined let's see. I think you get this from H key current user. There we go. I think it's basically requiring you to open one of the base keys, and then it will let you open up the sub key. So it's basically forcing you to open like one of the base keys. So that is just going to be LP sub key. So let's see what type that's supposed to be. The name of the registry key to be opened. This key must be a sub key of the key identified by the H key parameter. Key names are not case sensitive. If this parameter is null or a pointer to an empty string, the function returns the same handle that was passed in. Okay, so this is where we want that. So let's see if it's going to let us simply pass in username. Bet it's not. And then I bet that's going to be, yeah, so that's going to be a pointer to a variable that receives a handle of the open key. If the key is not one of the predefined registry keys, call the reg close key function after you have finished using the handle. So it's a pointer to an H key. So let's do this. And we'll just plop that right into HK. And we've got errors, which is fine. We need to throw it into an unsafe. Seems like pretty much all Windows API functions are supposed to be thrown into an unsafe block. That's okay. I'll learn why later. Arguments to this function are incorrect. Expected raw pointer const i8 found struct string. So I'm assuming that is on the sub key. So let's make that a .to string. That should convert it over to a string. This is annoying. Mute. I'll someday learn that. Learn what a mute is, because that makes no sense. So that should be good. Oh, we have no more red squiggly lines because we have one there. So I think this is supposed to be an and mute. Nope. Expected raw pointer const i8 found struct string. So let's just open up our good old pal Google and do string to const i8 rust. Similar question here. Rust strings are not null terminated, like most C functions expect. You can convert an AND string to a const u8 by using as bytes. So it's a pointer to a string dot as bytes 0 as const u8, or by using s dot as pointer. Let's try that. Dot as ptr. Is it like that? Doesn't look like it likes that. Found raw pointer const u8. So what's the difference between an i8 and a u8? As const i8. Well, let me do that. Probably not. So this is already a const, so I shouldn't have to cast it as a const again. No, it does want me to do it. And now it's going to have an issue with it. Expected type found keyword const. So this ain't what we want. As pointer const. Okay. All right, we've got no complaints. So we've got open the key. So let's try to read it. So reading the value, reg enum value A. Let's pull out the signature here. Can you do this in Rust? Nah, I guess you can't. Do they use this? They do. So that's enum value, and let's go ahead and pull out OpenKeyXA just to have it. These are the function signatures, always useful to have. So we can see here, this probably, honestly, now that I'm saying it's useful, this would have helped if I just looked and seen that this is a pointer to a C string. Instead of looking at it as like a pointer to a const U8, that doesn't make near as much sense as it's a pointer to a C string. Okay. So let's look at reg enum value A. So reg enum value A. Go ahead and import that. All right, we need the H key. That's going to be HK. Easy enough. The DW index, that I don't know. So let's look and see what that is. So this one's simple enough. The index of the value to be retrieved, this parameter should be 0 for the first call to reg enum value. Okay, so we can just pass in 0 there. LP value name. So that is the out, a pointer to a buffer that receives the name of the value as a null terminated string. So this, I'm hoping, will just let us use our ret. We immediately got problems there. Oh, because it's trying. So that the helpers in VS Code can be kind of annoying. LP CCH value name, a pointer to a variable that specifies the size of the buffer pointed to by the LP value name. And characters. When the function returns, the variable receives the number of the characters stored in the buffer, not including null character. Okay, so we'll just do let mute cars equal to, I mean, this can be arbitrarily large, I think, because I'm not really worried about it. Cars, LP reserved. This parameter reserved, it must be null. I hate, okay, 1 second. Guess, maybe, I don't know. LP type. I'm going to go on a rant here in a second. It's optional, a pointer to a variable that receives a code indicating the type of value. LP type parameter can be null. Type code is not required. I don't care about that. We're going to plop in null. LP data. Also optional, a pointer to a buffer that receives the data for the value entry. This parameter can be null. The data is not required. What? What's the difference between this and... Oh, that's the LP value name. We want the data. So that's just going to be let mute LP name string equals string from IDC. This shouldn't matter, but we're going to pass it in anyways. LP name. This is going to be, that's null. It's supposed to be null 64. LP data, that's going to be ret. LPCB data. Pointer to a variable that specifies the size of the buffer pointed to by the LP data parameter in bytes. The function returns, the variable receives a number of... Let's mute ret cars equal to... we need ret dot to string. Can we just do ret dot ling? Yeah, we can. It's gonna need to be times the size of a byte. No, it doesn't. I don't think. So ret cars. All right. So that's all going to be wrong. Every last bit of that. Expected raw pointer mutual H key found mutable reference. What? I'm assuming that's referring to H key there. Found mutable reference and star mute H key. This is so stupid. Let's see if we can just dereference. I think it's, how did we do this before? Is that right? Maybe it's just star H key. Maybe that's right. Okay, so that was right. Mute I8. Okay, so this needs to be converted to a C string. Dot as pointer as star const. Isn't there a dot as C string? Dot C string. What is it? Dot to string. Maybe it's that. Dot. Oh my gosh. Dot. See, I swear there's a C string converter. Dot unwrap. Do we need to do that? No. Ah, this is annoying. Rust convert to C string. C string and there it is. C string new. Standard C string, is it C underscore? What the fuck? Oh, it's FFI. FI C string new. Didn't like that. No function or associated item named new found for struct C string in the current scope. It's literally right there. Oh, it's C string. That's not going to work either. Oh, we can get rid of that and let it imply the type. Okay. Don't need to do this anymore, but we do need to do a pointer to it. That should stop bitching about that now. It is not. Okay, so we need to unwrap that. Dot unwrap. Now it should stop bitching about that. You're going to need to do the same here. So this is going to be a standard FFI C string C string new unc dot unwrap. Okay. Arguments to function are incorrect. Okay, so we just need to convert that to as const I8. Didn't like that. Now does it like that? Still doesn't like that. Non-primitive cast C string is const I8. And as in, fuck you. All right. So we're running into type errors like already, which is fun. I haven't even looked at chat in ages. How's everybody doing? YouTube user, hello, I'm a high school student in Korea who is interested in Rust malware development. Although communication in English is difficult, I find it useful. Cool. You picked like the coolest username ever. YouTube_user. How's it going, man? Cool that you're interested in malware development. I hope that you're interested in malware development for the right reasons, because sometimes I get people in here who are just like, I'm going to use this to hack the NSA. And I'm like, y'all shut up. You're the worst types of people and you're going to get me banned. Okay, So we're just immediately running into type problems here. So we're just going to copy basically what we did up here. Dot as underscore pointer as star const I8 IU I8. Stop bitching, I think. Okay, so this needs to be immutable, duh. Star mute I8. Alright, so less issues there. Expected raw pointer, assuming that's on cars. So cars needs to be unsigned U32, and it needs to be a pointer to that. Sorry, I looked over because my YouTube graph link spiked. Apparently a bunch of people showed up at once. Okay. Mutable U32 should be mutable. Mute U32. Probably get rid of this here. Do we have to instantiate that? We don't. So here we can do let mute ret cars equal to ret.length. And we're going to explicitly cast that as a U32. And here we're going to do let ret cars pointer, which we're going to explicitly cast as a address of U32 is equal to and ret cars, not and, but and. Now ret cars, we should just be able to do ret cars pointer. That should bitch less at us. So the irritation that I'm having here is it's obviously listing out all of the different problems that we've got, but it's not saying arguments to this function are incorrect. Expected raw pointer mute U32. It's not saying which one of those it's having an issue with. I'm assuming it's having an issue with and cars here, but I might be wrong there. So maybe we can just get rid of that. Saying a pointer to a mute 32. And it's saying a U64. I'm not passing in a U64 anywhere. So for reference, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Let me pop over to Streamlabs. Let's plot my ugly ass face up here. Ooh, yikes. Need to clean that up. Okay, so we're about to do an ad, and then I'm gonna spend a little bit of time ranting about the Windows API and the issues that I've got with it, and honestly, the reason why I switched to Rust. So let me run an ad on Twitch. If you're on YouTube. Oh, I don't have my Streamlight on. So, Windows API is one of the worst constructed pieces of software that I've ever laid my eyes on in my entire life. And I write code. I write shit code. But I write code. And I'm going to explain why. Okay. So let's go on a rant break. Why the Windows API sucks. This is not an exhaustive list. Trust me, I and much more like intelligent people could go on much longer rants than I'm about to about why the Windows API sucks, because it does. But let's just take a generic function. So the way you would typically call a function. This is a typical function call. A typical function call is you've got a variable is equal to function and it returns, okay? The variable is of the same type as the function, okay? Nobody here is going to be this is not groundbreaking shit here. This is basic programming 101. Same type, okay? So if I've got a function that returns a string, I've got a variable that will hold a string. So if I've got a strictly typed language, I don't have my screen share. Yeah, I do. So if I've got a strictly typed language, that matters. If I don't, it doesn't matter as much, but I still will have an understanding of what is supposed to be held within this variable, okay? You do, in normal programming, in non-Windows programming, have what are called null functions. So I can write a null function out here. Let's do this just in Python. Let's do, I'll open up another code window, make dir examples, cd examples. I just want to keep all of this separate code. So let's make a Python example for this. Windows API x.py. Okay, so this is not actually going to have anything to do with the Windows API, but this is just an example. So function that returns a string. Okay, this is not complex shit here. Strfunc. Okay, so we're going to return hello. So whenever we call that, so let's just do def main, then we're going to have like just, okay, ret or string func ret is equal to strfunc. Okay, so now we know that string func ret is going to hold the return of string func. Okay, we'll also have null functions, def null func. And all a null function does is basically it returns nothing. So we're going to print, this is a null function. And whenever we call this, we don't care about what's returned. Now in Python, I believe null func ret is equal to null func. I think you can still assign it to a variable. I don't know why you would ever want to do that, but if name is, that's if name equals main, then run main. All right, so none of this is groundbreaking. I'm not teaching anything crazy new, okay? But this is basically going to illustrate why the Windows API is stupid. So let's just run Python Windows API x.py. This is a null function. Okay, so it prints out. Nothing is in null func ret. So if we print, I don't even know what's going to happen here. Null func ret. None. Okay, so it just holds none. Okay, so if we print, just for shits and giggles, string func ret. Okay, run this. Hello. Nothing is surprising here. What is surprising is that Windows API does this bullshit where instead of returning variables, okay, and returning variables in normal way, this way, right here, the way that programmers have been doing it for as long as programming has been programming, instead, Windows does this bullshit where they say, no, we're not going to do that. Windows API stupidity. We're not going to do that. We're instead going to make everything a null function. Everything is a null function. So instead of me returning from the function some value of some type that I understand, I've got to do some magic and pass in a pointer to a variable that I have already created previously. And Windows is just going to plop the return value that I hope is the right value into that variable. And that's it. Okay? There are so many problems with this. For one thing, here, let's look at enum value. Okay, so if you look at the function definition here, you've got ins and you've got outs, and you've got in outs. Why? You've got in outs. Okay, so an in, basic. You pass in an H key, you pass in a DW index, which is the index of the value to be retrieved. Don't need to worry about that. Now you've got an out. Okay, this is an LP value name. You are passing in a pointer to a string. Okay, that Windows is going to write the value name out to. Why? Okay, then you've got in outs. Okay, in outs are I'm going to pass in a value that is basically a guess, and they're going to pass in the actual value that's real. Okay, then they've got reserves. Don't even get me started on that shit. The Windows API is full of variables that you have to pass in to the functions, but they're reserved. They don't explain it in the docs. I haven't seen a good reason for them to continue being there, but they're basically like places where you just have to pass in null. Literally, in the MSDN docs, right here, you have to pass in null. I'm assuming this is an issue with legacy Windows and like whatever, but why? Like, find a way to get rid of that. You are the richest fucking company in the world. You can figure it out. Okay, so my main issue is with the approach that the Windows API has, where everything, every single Windows API function is a null function. You have to pass in all of these pointers. You have to pass in locations where Windows is going to write the data out to. This causes so many problems. If Windows returns the wrong value type, and I'm expecting, you know, like here, if I'm expecting a D word and Windows just randomly decides I'm not going to give you a D word, I'm going to give you something else, if there's some kind of crash or something like that, then there are all kinds of issues in my code. I can't plan for that. Instead of just having a return type that Windows is tied to, that I understand when I call this function, I'm going to get this return type, and if there is an error, then it handles it in a standard way. Instead, they're just like, hey, just hand me a memory address. We're going to write some shit out to it, and I hope you're prepared for that. All right. That was my rant on the stupidity, the utter stupidity of the Windows API. I don't know how long that rant lasted, but it's over now. Let's go back to debugging our code. We can close that out. All right. And types are another thing I could rant on, but I'm not going to. So for some reason we've got a pointer to a U64 here. So that's a C string now. We can actually make it a not C string anymore. So let's just make it a not string anymore. So string from, this one's going to be unc, this is going to be string from, don't need unwrap anymore. And now we should be able to get a length. Returns length of string bytes. And use size. as U32. Can you just cast it that way? Yes, you can. I love casting because it just, you can write ugly code with it. All right. Expected raw pointer, mute U32. Now again, I don't know which. So we've got two different strings going in. I'm assuming we're talking about cars here. And it's even saying that that's a U32. So I don't know why it's... All right, we're gonna try to get clear errors here. Okay, so that needs to be wrapped. That's easy enough. Okay, wrap. That's an easy fix. Just had to wrap that. All right, so here we go. Ah, it was having issues with these null 64s. So can we just pass in 0 instead of nulls? Maybe. Most of the time you can get away with that. Like it will read zeros as nulls. Let's see if it had an issue with that. Nope. So where can I find null? Normally, standard FFI null. Let's see if we can find it in the WinAPI docs. Pretty sure you can. Null. Standard shared, ntdef null. Alright, plop that in. Now I should just be able to pass in null here and null here. Alright, getting no complaints there as of right now. Let's see if that fixed things. Looks like it did. So here, it's having a problem with ret cars pointer. Saying that needs to be a star pointer, U32. So how do I do that? How do I make a mutable pointer to a specific variable right there? It should just be that, right? Expected raw pointer, pointer, mute U32. I know there's some syntax where you've got to do that, so it's not dereferencing it. Star mute pointer, rust mute. Star mute. Mutable raw pointers work much like mutable references with the added possibility of not pointing to a valid object. The syntax is star mute type. So star mute, just I'm not seeing any examples. Can you give me an example? More information on mutable references and pointers can be found in this reference. So let's do star mute. Raw pointers, const, and mute. Raw pointers are pointers without safety or liveness guarantees. Raw pointers are written as star const t or star mut t. For example, star const i32 means a raw pointer to a 32-bit integer. Copying or dropping a raw pointer has no effect on the life cycle of any other value. Dereferencing a raw pointer is an unsafe operation. Okay. This can be also used to convert a raw pointer to a reference by reborrowing it and star or and mute star. What? Okay. Raw pointers are generally discouraged. They exist to support interoperability with foreign code and writing performance critical or low level functions. Okay, so what this means, they exist to support interoperability with foreign code. That literally just means the Windows API. Like, they're basically saying Windows API is dumb as shit, so we've got to basically support the dumb shit that they force you to do. Again, not going to go back on that rant. I just need an example with some raw pointers. So let's do Rust raw mutable pointer to i32. Let's see if they give examples. Let raw equals and x as star const. What? That is the craziest syntax ever, but let's see if it works. I mean, okay. Equal to and retcars as star mute. And is that really how we're going to have to do this? Star mute I32. I keep seeing something pop up on my YouTube chat. Star mute I30 mute 32. So let's just let this infer the type. See if that works. This is having an issue with it. Casting and U32 as star mute U32 is invalid. So it does not like that. It's doing the thing again. That's so weird. Let x equals 5. Let raw equals and x. So I'm literally just copying this straight from MIT's site. Apparently they're wrong. Oh, they're saying it's wrong. Let raw equals and x as star const and record as star mute. Why does that not work? Does it have to be a const? If it has to be a const, then that's not, yeah, so it's got to be a const. That's not going to work. The reason why it's not going to work is we need it to be mutable in order for the Windows API to use it, because of the dumb way that you've got to do the Windows API. Okay, so that might be our fix. So this is going to be a star mute U32 is equal to and mute records. Did that work? Not getting errors. So a mutable pointer. That makes sense. Let's see if we get any problems with it. Doesn't look like it. we do have a problem here. Oh, we've got our dot as underscore pointer. Convert that to a pointer. Should be good to go on that. Nope, we are not. Oh, we've got to do that dumb casting as star mute I8. Now it shouldn't have a problem with that. It'll have a problem with something else. Needs to be a U8. Sorry. Assuming this needs to be a U8 as well. As mute C underscore void. Rust C underscore void. Fucking hell. It's in FFI. These nulls, assuming both, need to be star mute standard FFI C underscore void as a star mute C underscore void. I actually shouldn't have to do that, but we do. Something's wrong. Might have meant to use one of the following enum variants. What? Variant 1 or variant 2? Y'all, what the fuck does that mean? Why do I need to specify a variant? Underscore underscore variant 1. Use of unstable library feature. Have an issue with variant 2? It sure does. Alright, let's go back and just try to cast it. Null as star mute standard FFI C void variant. What? C underscore void. Is it, oh, it lets us do that? That's neat. Let's do that with the other null. See if it lets us get away with this type of murder. Probably not. Nope. Expected, oh. Expects a raw pointer? I was reading it wrong. That's much easier. So this is supposed to be, okay. I was right the first time. It looks like, okay, no red squigglies, y'all. So let's try to print line, oh, no, we got one here. Use binding cars isn't initialized. Fucking. Let's just call it 0, whatever. Nope. Can I just as U32? No, it's not gonna let me do that. Expected raw pointer, star mute. I think that all of this casting shit is so annoying. HK isn't initialized. So how do I? Okay, so here's what I was talking about. So here, our reg open key A is initializing HK. But reg enum value A doesn't know that, because how could it? It doesn't know that reg open key A is initializing that, because it doesn't look like it is. So what we might be able to do, let's see if we can do this. K equals, but that's not gonna work. Nah. Let's see, this is what I was talking about. So basically, what the problem here is reg enum value A takes in H key, or HK, pointer to HK, as a primary input. But it's not initialized. But it is initialized because of the dumb way that Windows API handles inputs. So, I honestly don't even know how to handle this. This is where I'm going to have to refer to somebody else's code. Rust. Let's just do registry key reads. When reg. Oh, so there's it looks like there's a crate specifically for registry stuff. Yeah, so this is using, I want to use raw Windows API stuff. Reading registry values. So that's using WinReg as well. Damn it. It's another wrapper. Rust. It is reg open key A. Let's do actually reg enum value. This might be it. Okay, so we've got examples here. HKey equals current user dot reg open key X dot unwrap. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is a different library. Fuck. This is the OneSafe library. I don't. So I'm assuming what OneSafe is. 132 GUI, related APIs, safe idiomatic Rust. Okay, so this is this is the library I should be using. It's not the library I'm using, but let's see. Nope, that's not Rust. HKey and OneSafe. This is a Chinese blog. Might be able to read that. It's been a little while since I've. That doesn't look helpful. Hybrid analysis results. Hybrid analysis results. Lots of malware stuff. All right. So. How do we tell Rust? Rust uninitialized value. there's a way that you can tell it that it is initialized. I believe I actually had to do it in here. Rusty progs. Init. Yep. That's exactly where it is. So we basically just have to tell it that it's initialized. Yeah. Assume init. Cool. So it's ugly, but HK, where'd it go? Mod. HK dot assume. Nope. Alright, so we did it here. Did it here. Module. Okay, so you have to declare it as a maybe on init. Doesn't like that. Doesn't like that a bit. Alright, let's see. Ambiguous associated type. What does that mean? I trying to tell it. Oh, that's in. So this is in the type. And mute. So let's just let it infer the type. Doesn't like that at all. Let mute H module maybe inonet H module. Oh. There we go. HK dot assume init dot unwrap, I think. How do you do this? Pound enum H key. Star mute H key. Expected raw pointer, star mute H key, found a reference, and star mute H key. Now it works? Question mark? Whatever, dude. Got a warning. Expected mute H key found union, maybe on a net. Oh. So it's going to be assume init dot unwrap. How do you get the uninitialized version of this? Uninit. We just pass in assume init. It's not gonna like that at all. Star mute H key. what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We're just basically playing whack-a-mole here. Okay, no more squiggly lines. Fucking run. Damn it. Cannot call non-const function string. What? So that's just gonna need to be a string. What? Hello? I need to explicitly do constants apparently. Well, then what's the, okay? I might just have to do pointer that. Yeah, that fixes it. And then we're gonna deal with some type errors later on. Oh, did that work? Shay. All right. Let's try a print line. So let's do print line. Actually, let's do that from main. So let username equal to that. Print line. Username is username dot unwrap. It's obviously going to return my username on here. Uh-oh. Oh, it's because my C2 isn't up. So let's not worry about this or this. It's going to pop up a message box. We should get our username. Hello world. Username is Unk. Fuck. Oh my gosh. So it's not overwriting username. Red.as pointer. Might be because this is 0. So let's do ret.length. Can we do that? Is it gonna let us do that? Please let us do that. Oop. Show ain't. It's got a problem. It's giving us plenty of freaking warnings. Not having any process didn't exit successfully. Just didn't really say anything. That's annoying. So this might just have to be then it's going to get some complaints about that later on, I'm sure. Expected struct string, found struct and string. So let's just say that it returns an and string then. Expected a named lifetime parameter. Forgot about that. Let's see. If Lifetimes are something that I have not familiarized myself enough with. It doesn't really give us any help here. All right, let's clean up some of the other stuff while I kind of think about this. So here's the thing with Rust. Whenever you're going to return a pointer to a string, I guess we could just dereference it at the very end, actually. Does it have an issue with that? Nope, can't do that. So let's just do string, and we're going to do a string from str or ret. Let's see if it throws a fit about that. Yep, it does throw a fit about that. Cannot find null in this scope. Did I delete null? Sure did. Alright, we gotta undo some stuff real quick. Alright, so we got null back. So we're still gonna return a string. We're going to return a string from ret. So basically I'm avoiding having to deal with lifetimes like the plague because I don't understand them enough. It's pretty much what we're doing. And we're getting access violations. Oh, come on, man. So what I think is happening is basically this is trying to write to an address that it's not supposed to write to. Because, again, actually what we might be able to do, I'm gonna do something really ugly looking. I'm gonna plop all this shit into an unsafe. Because all of this is dealing with memory rights because fuck Windows. Yeah, it didn't like that. Can we put a return in an unsafe? Is that something that we can do? It feels like something we shouldn't be able to do. Let's see if those fit. Yep, let's just do it. Whatever, dude. Yeah, still getting the same access violation. All right, so let's take everything out of that unsafe because it is ugly. So what I think is happening is it's trying to write to an address that it's not supposed to with this status access violation. And I dealt with this problem with Rusty Procs. Let's see how I dealt with it. And this is the thing, like all of these libraries are all in their beta-ish stage. So they're not perfect, and they're going to require a lot of like fleshing out to get them right, or at least to get them like more usable. So when I was trying to write out to a string here, I had, let's see, process modules. So here's the buffer. We had a general capacity here, and when we wrote out to that buffer as mutable pointer, so I bet that's what's happening. So let's cast this instead of as a pointer as underscore mutable underscore pointer. Oop, didn't like that. Cannot borrow star ret as mutable as it is behind an and reference. Ret is an and reference to the data it refers to cannot be borrowed as mutable. Can we just make this a string? So, I think we're on to the right track here. But this is not letting us do it. Cannot borrow ret is mutable because it's behind an and reference. So it gives us a hint there. So just cast this as an and mute string. So can we leave this uninitialized? Let's just pass a dummy variable there and a dummy variable there. Why are we doing this twice? Let's not worry about that. We're out of red squigglies, so let's see if it works. Star ret used here, but it isn't initialized. Let's do the same exact thing here. That ret, actually, let's cut this equal to maybe uninit. Can you get all this shit out of the way? And we'll throw the type in here. Uninit. And let's just try to like force this to be dot assume net dot as mutual pointer. Let's see. Like, this is hacky as shit because it is never initialized. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna let us do that. The trait maybe oh, maybe it will. Dot assume init. Let's just give it a shot. We are gonna have to throw all of this in an unsafe block. Like, it's, and all of this, again, I'm gonna repeat this because it's important. All of this is because of the stupid way that Windows designed their API. All of it. All of this shit. Value used here after move. So it was moved here. Fuck. It was moved there. So basically, yeah, it was snagged. Assume a net here. This is so stupid. All right, let's try to get all of this in frame, so I can kind of explain how stupid this is and why it's stupid. All of this helper text is super annoying. It's making my cursor skip all over the place. All right, so the problem is right here on assume a net. This is taking ownership of ret. There's no real way to return ownership here, I don't think. Can we do a to-own here? Nope. This is an annoying problem. Can we just pass it a reference? But we can't. Nope. Basically, if we can pass it as a reference instead, then the ownership doesn't change. Trying to figure out a good way to do this. So that's a dereference. That's not what we're looking for. All right, we're going on almost 2 hours here, and this is a really boring problem to try to figure out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream here. And this off stream, basically because it's a boring problem and I don't really want to try to solve. Let me look at Rusty Procs again, because we're essentially doing the same thing in Rusty Procs here. So this is asmute pointer.cast. So what does that return? Cast to a pointer of another type. Assume init dot asmute pointer dot cast. We have no red squiggly lines here. We do here. What is that noise? Is that the music? Yeah, we're still getting the move problem. How did we return buffer here? Because at some point we used buffer. From UTF-8, fact buffer. So it doesn't have any problem with it doing it here. Declares the buffer here, passes it into a similar function, .asmute pointer and .cast. It might be the assume, yeah, I think it's the assume init that's causing the problem. Yeah, it is. So let's see if we can do this without assume init. I don't think it's gonna let us do that. Oh, it did. It didn't. Can we just print line within here? Within grab username. We'll pass in ret. Nope, it immediately had a problem there. Ret.assume init. Yeah, same problem there. So it's saying it's, oh. Assume init. So this is interesting. Ref. Let's try that. Those might be what we're looking for. Yep. No. Damn it. So let's see, is the problem, so we're going to use dumb debugging here. I know I said I was going to end the stream. I'm not going to end the stream yet. Test. So we're going to use dumb debugging. It's basically a style of debugging that just uses these test functions here. So open keys find. Let's try this. Okay, so we're not getting a test here. So the problem is with the enum value, which I kind of had a feeling that was the case, but. So the access violation I'm assuming is happening within reg enum value. What's interesting is that we're functionally doing the same thing between these two. Which is interesting. I mean, like it's having no. Oh wait. Let's see if we can do. No, that's not what we want, right? Dot. Assume net ref. Let's try that. Match type, expect raw pointer, star mute U8. We'll just cast it. Nah. I have a problem with that. As mute pointer. Cannot borrow data, and an and reference is mutable. Ret is not an and. Oh, it is. Get rid of the and then? Just make it a string? No. Not gonna like that either. Just make it an as pointer. All right, let's shut it up at least. Yeah, still same status access violation. All right, now I'm going to actually end the stream. This is frustrating as hell. We ain't gonna worry about it though. We're gonna get through it. As soon as I solve this problem, I'm either going to go live or update y'all somehow. Upload a video probably. Oh, I missed your comment, Nistyles. No problem for the content. Hope it's like actually helpful. Arguing with the Rust compiler over like access violations and variable types and fun things like that is not very entertaining material. So usually whenever I hit problems like that, I just go ahead and kind of like cut it off after a certain period of time, solve it off stream, and then come back and explain what I learned. Because really it's about the learning process and not necessarily about you watching me like roll my eyes at the compiler and rant about malware. development and the Windows API and stuff like that. So it's not because I'm giving up, it's because I know that it's not at all entertaining to watch that. Anyways, appreciate y'all showing up. It's actually been a really good night stream. Had good couple of viewers on Twitch. If y'all aren't subbed on Twitch or following on Twitch or whatever, pop on over there. Same username as on YouTube. If you're on Twitch and you don't know where my YouTube channel is, same username. Very easy to find. I do that intentionally. Y'all take it easy. Have a good one. Peace.